Can I invite everybody to close their eyes for a minute? And if you imagine you're in your workplace, wherever that might be, and you imagine colleagues in work care about you as a person. Imagine you're in a company that doesn't just care about making profit. It actually has a higher purpose in life. Imagine the company you work for is actually conscious about the environment and conscious of the decisions they make and the impact that has on the environment. And that, to me, is what a business with a heart would look and feel like. So let's look at some reality. Gallup do a study every couple of years in the workplace globally, and 87% of people are actually emotionally disconnected from their workplace. Now, if you think about it, in our working lives, the time we're working, we spend about half of our non-sleeping life in work, and 87% of us are disconnected from that work. So let me tell you a bit about my journey. Okay, I've been in business all my life. I did a business degree in Dublin, and then I spent a number of years running a consultancy called SRCG, traveling the world, advising retailers on strategy. After a while, I started to get disillusioned by how short-term focused so many of our international, big multinational companies were. I'd also spend a lot of time talking at conferences about how you could compete against the likes of Tesco if you were community-based, if you actually had something you cared about and was something different than that peddled by Tesco, Sainsbury's, Asda, etc. So having decided to leave the consultancy, I did get the opportunity to do that, and Musgrave, the Irish company, had bought Busines and were converting it into a franchise. And we set about creating what we call this community supermarket that really cared. And what that really meant was we cared for our community and we cared for the environment. And I'll give you an example of a couple of things we did. We started a farm on the roof of the Crouch End store called Food from the Sky. And I think some of you have mentioned it here today. And we got people from our community, regular people in the community, school children, to actually learn how to grow fruit and vegetables on the roof of our supermarket. And then we sold that product downstairs, and that money went back into the roof to educate more people on food growing. So we're all people. We're all work in organizations, be they businesses, it might be our own business. And I realized I needed to go deeper into the people side of the business. And we created something called the Heart Program. So I'm going to show you a video. You'll get a sense of what that's about.
A 2013 poll by Gallup found that a staggering 87% of people globally are emotionally disconnected from their work.
My perspective that it's really important for businesses to have a heart led us to look at the working environment here at Thornton's Busines, to see how we could engage people better in their jobs, create a safe environment where people felt trusted and cared for, and they could really bring all their full potential to their job every single day, and at the same time help us achieve our objectives as a company.
Just broke down barriers between the staff, and it allowed some of us to form like new friendships and things, so that was a good idea.
I even tried to do the same Heart program at home.
Wow.
And it was really interesting to hear from my family what they're thinking about that, and we start, feeling better, more closer.
Thank you. The most touching part of that, preparing that video, was when Rasa said she'd taken it home and used it with her family. In fact, somebody else, another guy who I interviewed who's on the screen, said the same thing. And she talked about love. And somebody said earlier, we don't use the word love in business very much. I mean, I genuinely believe if you put people and our planet first and trust profit will follow, then that is a way of doing business. It's a much better way of doing business. And I'm not saying that making profit's bad, because we need that profit to be sustainable. Hopefully there's maybe even one thing out of what I've said that inspires you. So bring it back to the organization you work for. And whether it's a business or it's a not-for-profit organization, it doesn't actually matter. I believe everything I'm talking about today equally applies to all organizations. I've got two sons who are 18 and 20, young men, and I'm certainly not prepared to be complicit in the kind of further destruction of the world we live in. So I'm going to ask every one of you to join me in this sort of crusade, I guess, if you want, to put the heart back into business. Thank you very much.